3, 2, 1, go, Ali! Go, Ali! Come on! Come
Damn
on!
it!
Welcome back to Time by TV, Geekoids and Geekettes. I am Fajardo.
Ali Peak, what's up?
What's up? Welcome back. We are going to talk about the blackening of potential lead characters of the X-Men. Ali, did I say that right? Did I? Your face
Blackening.
is like because I told you that persons of color. Let's
Yeah.
break it down. September
Yeah.
13, Magneto might be a person of color in the MCU reboot of X-Men. So in short, there's race swapping, Charles Xavier and potentially Magneto. Your thoughts?
I mean, this is
Right.
not the first time. Nick Fury, okay?
Okay.
Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson. You go to the comic books, you guys all know this,
Yeah.
right? Nick Fury is white in the comic books.
No, but see,
No?
there's. May I interject?
Yeah, go for it.
That's where my mind goes to first. But my concern is since you went into Nick Fury straight out, Nick Fury was made black in the Ultimate Universe.
Oh, I see.
So that's and the artist who drew him drew the likeness of Nick Fury before he even the Ultimate Universe is a separate universe that Marvel came up with back in the early 2000s, late 90s,
Wow.
early 2000s. So that's what they based it off on. So before we get into that, what's your take on race swapping characters, specifically these two, man? Shit.
Well,
Right.
you know, we had this discussion a few days ago.
Yeah, we
And,
did. We did. But
so-
we're like, hold it.
Yeah.
We'll get.
Yeah, we
balls
didn't want to.
deep.
We wanted to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little divided on the whole thing, and you know, I might be upsetting people out there,
No,
and I
it's our
apologize for
opinion.
it. Yeah, it's our opinion. I just like to see them. For me, I'm the type of guy. If you can stick to the comic book as close as possible,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because now we're talking about X-Men here. X-Men is my favorite comic book.
Mm-hmm.
It was the second comic book I started collecting back when I was about 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it really means a lot to me. Now, if they're going to go with a person of color, now are they saying that Magneto or Professor X, are they saying that he might be black, or what kind of ethnic background will he
Whatever
have?
it is. I mean,
Whatever
let's
it is.
not be that racially
Okay,
specific.
exactly.
But
Well,
the fact is that they're changing them from like Caucasian peeps into black peeps.
Yeah.
That's my or to call.
There's okay. Let's talk about the cons. The cons is what I just mentioned. Second, what about the backstory, the history of these characters?
That's where I was gonna go.
Because if you're gonna do this with Magneto, then you're changing his whole backstory. You're changing his whole history. Because let's look at Magneto. Magneto was a Jew, right?
Yep.
Was he Jewish?
From
From the concentration camps during the Nazi during Nazi Germany's time. Right around the cusp of World War II or into World War II, what kind of history are you going to give this person of color now? Be interesting if MCU, whoever writes this, whoever directs this, creates another backstory, another historic story for this character that's going to be a person of color outside of the Magneto that we've been reading about all these years. That would be very impressive. And just to tie it in with the rest of the story of the X-Men, that'll be even more impressive.
Let's go back to the tying it with history. I was thinking about that.
It's going to be very difficult to do.
No, yeah. But think about it. Magneto was in Auschwitz in that concentration camp.
Yeah.
That happened in the 40s. World War II.
That was in the late 30s,
early 40s.
Mid to late 30s, early to mid 40s.
Okay, so
10-year span.
Again, just to be clear, I'm also 50-50, but no, not 50-50. I'm 60, not okay with it, 40% okay with it. And this is the 40% why I'm okay with it. Think about it. So if it was the 30s, let's just say the 40s, just to be safe. 1940s, we're idiots with history. Well, he's better with history. I'm an idiot with history and the specific date. Let's just say it's the 40s, right? And you want to make this a current storyline, which is now it's 2020. How old would Magneto be?
These are questions that they're going to have to really think about. You know,
So
they're
that is why
really creative with this whole thing.
So no, that's why being making them a person of color, specifically African American, works is what I read, and it was a genius idea, because Stanley was famous to say that Charles and Eric were their ideals. He compared it to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, where
I can see that. Yeah,
that was in terms of
mutants are concerned.
As far as mutants are concerned. Now tie that up to the real Martin Luther, the Black Movement, which I asked you before.
That was in the 60s.
60s, right?
60s
How old
was the deep movement? Yeah.
The deep movement, the Black Panthers.
60s, 70s was the Black Panthers, but the 60s, that was Martin Luther King and Malcolm X's time.
Right. So 60 to 2020, how old would they be? You get what I mean?
That's pretty interesting if they could do something like that, and I think
that's how I see it could work.
Yeah. The Black community, if they're going to go black, I think they would really. I think a lot of people that are people of African American descent would really appreciate that. No question. It would be groundbreaking.
Right.
Especially when you think about when these comic books or when these comic characters were created. They were created really back in the 60s.
60s, yeah. X-Men.
And this was a very sensitive time for African Americans because this is right in the heart of the civil rights movements. I remember talking to my father about things like this. My father's an African American, and he would tell me stories about how in the South, the Deep South, Black people had to sit at the back of the bus. Black people had to go in separate bathrooms, separate restaurants. Some of the most popular NBA players during that time could not eat in a restaurant that was for whites only. So they ended up either sleeping in the bus because they couldn't sleep in the hotel, or eating outside of the hotel because they weren't allowed to eat, or eating outside of a restaurant somewhere down the street somewhere, or even inside a vehicle. You hear all these stories, and so I think it's really monumental. That's actually pretty interesting.
Right? If you
I don't know if it's good or not, but it's pretty interesting, yeah. But they have to get the history correct.
They will,
if you were to kind of if these new characters or these characters that are going to be people of color, particularly African American, and you're going to use Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, you have to make sure that you get the history accurate and correct, so you don't piss off a lot of people out there.
I'm sure they
very,
will.
Very important.
Because it's a bold move, dude. That change it is a pretty.
It is a bold move.
Aesthetically, I was thinking, why would they? And then I thought about that if the whole World War II thing is too far removed from now that we're in 2019.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
Thinking that this is gonna happen 2023 maybe.
It's just I hear you.
Before we get into the casting, percentage wise, how much? Because I said I'm 60-40, 60% not for the changing of the race and 40% okay just because of the history and the age thing in my head. Where would you put yourself?
For me personally, I was about. Well, you got my text right. I was laughing about that. So I was like 20% not agreeing with the whole thing, 80%. Well, no, I'm sorry, 20% open to it, 80% not agreeing with it. Yeah. Because again, going back, that's just my preference. I like to stick to what I read when I was a kid.
Me too.
But I've had a few days to think about it.
Me too.
And it's a bold move, and I think that if they do
it's
things
gonna piss people off for sure.
It's always gonna. But if they do things right.
Right. Me too. Yeah.
And you have two strong actors.
Good segue.
Guys that have won Academy Award performance type actors.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson type status.
Damn.
That could take this character into another dimension and make future generations appreciate this version, this performance, and where he takes this character.
Where a Hugh Jackman who's 6'2" can be a Wolverine who was 5'3". You know what I mean? That kind of.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people are going to see race throughout this whole thing, and they're not going to get past it. They're not going to try to have an open mind about it. If MCU decides to go in this direction, picture Charles Xavier, African American, Charles Xavier. People aren't going to be able. There's people out there, groups of people out there that are not going to be able to look past that and just have an open mind and just watch the performance and see this actor's version of Charles Xavier. You might walk out of the theater saying, "Wow, I was completely blown away by it." Unfortunately, there's people out there that are going to be like that. But I think at this point, we should go into it with an open mind and just see where it goes. MCU has not failed us since
so far.
So far, so
a little bit with Guardians again. I can't. And Endgame. Yeah. Okay, given that magnanimous weight that they would carry, and let's say that we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Who would you cast?
Oh God.
That segue into that. Who would you cast as Chuck and Eric?
Oh man.
Can I go first? Are you still
go
thinking?
first. You go first. Yeah, I got. Yeah.
And this is influenced by shit I've already seen on and read, so it's not a completely original thought when it comes to Magneto. I'm going full on Denzel Washington, baby.
Wow, you think so?
Fuck yeah! Denzel! King Kong ain't got shit on me. Chuck?
Okay, listen, you know what?
Right?
To see him, because he's some of... Okay,
the gravitas.
But we've seen
and give him the white hair.
Yeah, and then just seeing him, he's the perfect age for it.
Right, perfect age for it.
We've seen him in Equalizer.
Oh, 1 and 2.
And how dark he can get in both of those, right? Yeah. And again, I'm all about how dark an actor can get with a character that's...
And sympathetic at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Yeah, Denzel would be a good one. How about Will Smith? Be a little bit younger.
As Magneto, I think it's too young.
Not as Magneto, but maybe yeah.
Or anyone
he's 50 years old. He's 50-something years old. But I mean, Will Smith still looks young.
Yeah, he looks very young.
But no, I think Denzel Washington would be a great choice to play Eric. But then Will Smith still has that young.
Yeah,
he's got that young vibe to him.
It's like a Tom Cruise. Dudes who don't look like they're fucking 50. Yeah. Who I would cast as Chuck would be this guy, Colin Salmon. I remember his performance. His freshest performance in my head is he played Zod in Krypton, the series, the TV series. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They really swapped Zod and the whole thing. That's my Chuck. Bang. Picture right in there. Right?
He's Charles Xavier.
That's my Charles.
And he's a British actor too, right?
Yeah, British actor. So he's got that gravitas
of
his performance.
Absolutely. Good movie.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. There it is, right there.
There it is.
He died a horrible death in that movie.
I don't remember him being. I remember the movie, but
they got trapped in that room. Remember? And there was these lasers going through.
At
the very last minute, the lasers would switch up. So he was like the only one left alive. So he's trying to anticipate, and then he's doing a good job. I'm like, damn, he might survive this. He's jumping through the lines and all that stuff. And then
and then it gets cut.
No, then you got two lines coming, something like that. Two lines coming at him. He's like, you think he's gonna dodge in between, sneak in between. Then all of a sudden, it becomes checkered. And it was like nothing you can do about that. And he just gets sliced to pieces. And there's Morgan Freeman.
Don't we have Morgan Freeman in the MCU yet?
No, we don't.
Okay, you want to go through the list?
I mean, Morgan Freeman.
Laurie Fishburne. Right?
Lawrence Fishburne was in the Ant and the Wasp.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. That might not do. See, Danny Glover can
pick one. We're casting. That's what we're doing.
Forrest Whitaker Forrest Whitaker could be a guy that can play either. As far as I'm concerned, he could play Eric. He could play
Eric. I think
he could play Eric. He could play Charles Xavier. That's right. I mean,
I want someone who could be in the fucking Magneto. He's got to wear the helmet, bro. So we have to imagine.
Yeah. How about Cuba Gooding Jr.?
As Charles?
the voice might throw me off a little.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Or you know what? Terrence Howard. Bring Terrence Howard back as Magneto.
Yeah.
He is good at playing bad guys. Good. Yeah, he's got that side to him, man.
But he already was Rhodey, remember?
He was Rhodey. That's true. I'll never forget that scene though in the first
Next time, baby.
No, he's just like, yeah, I know. Yeah. But then he was like, he was pissed off with Tony Stark. Tony got him onto the private jet. He's like, no, we're not doing this, Tony. We're not drinking. I can't drink. I have responsibility. He goes, this is completely irresponsible. He goes, it would be completely irresponsible for us not to drink. And he goes, and then it cuts to the next scene. He's drunk. He's talking shit. Yeah. Well, here we go. Ving Rhames. Yeah. Ving Rhames is another guy. I could see him. He would be a badass Charles Xavier.
Right?
Yeah.
Ving Rhames. Yeah. Or he's buff too.
I don't see him playing Magneto. I see him playing Charles Xavier. Here, Esposito. Yeah.
Where do we know this guy from?
Oh, he's been in all types of. I remember seeing him for the first time in School Days, Spike Lee joint, way back in the day, back I think 1987, 1980. That's the first time I saw him. That's the first time I saw Lawrence Fishburne and Lawrence Fishburne, a young Lawrence Fishburne.
Higher Learning?
No. This was School Days. It's one of Spike Lee's first. No.
Are we looking for a really old,
That's another question.
Are we gonna
go? Yeah, are we gonna go young? Are we gonna go middle aged? Are we gonna go senior citizen?
Because if we're looking at the Malcolm X type age, then it's gotta be Carl Weathers.
I don't see Carl Weathers.
Magneto? No.
You're looking at the physical. I'm looking more at the.
Dude, it's fucking Apollo, bro.
I don't see it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do. I'm curious.
So let's cap it then.
By the end, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go see the damn movie.
Yeah.
Same here. With my popcorn. I don't.
And hopefully they get shit right.
Yeah. I hope so. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. But, I think they will. Come on, it's MCU.
Yeah. That's it. We're good, I think, right?
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
We have fun doing this. Thank you so much for everyone who's watching. Those of you who like, even if you don't like or not like, it's cool. As long as you watch and you're having a good time, and we are happy. I am Mael Fajardo, and with me is. Oh! What happened? You just.
Oh, come on, man! What the? Oh!
Adios.
Peace.